people were getting into like almost fist fights over like the best way to scale Bitcoin. And these like nerds drunkenly getting angry and like pushing each other like, what do you mean you want to scale the layer 1? What about Lightning? And then it like dead serious, almost got into fist fights with people.
Fascism.
Yeah, it was mental, but it was so fun.
And we're back. We're live here with Bitcoin.com CEO Corbin Fraser. Corbin, could you get off your phone and tell us your origin story?
Sure, guys. I'm getting messages. Lots of people want to interview. I'm in high demand.
Business.
I'm in high demand out here.
Making deals.
Are we talking about my origin story? My vampire bike, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So how did I get into this mess?
Yeah.
Why am I here?
Exactly.
Why am I trading fake internet money? Yeah.
Being interviewed.
Yeah. I guess 2013, somewhere around there. I don't have the exact date. I don't even think I still have the Reddit account, but I got gifted or tipped some Bitcoin for something stupid or funny I said on Reddit. And I was like in college and I couldn't figure out what just happened. It was like I said something stupid, got some upvotes, which was, what you wanted to do back in Reddit days when people cared about Reddit. Reddit's trash now, but back then Reddit was cool, right? That was like counterculture. And I got like $5 of Bitcoin and got this auto reply bot message from, I think it was Change Tip. And it said like, you got $5, here you go. And it was like a link to like check your account. And it blew my brain because I was like, what just happened? I don't have an account here. And they gave me money. And how do I get this money? And $5 as a college kid, I'm probably thinking like, hey, that's beer, baby. What am I going to spend this on? And it just melted my brain that someone gave me money over the internet without like a PayPal account, without my bank details. And then I started digging into it and was like, okay, this is trippy. So then that progressed to me starting to buy some Bitcoin and starting to dabble in that whole world. And obviously I didn't have a pot to piss in.
How did you buy Bitcoin?
I want to say it was like
Was it Mt. Gox?
No, it was like, I don't even remember, but I was accumulating very little amounts because I didn't have a lot of money. Yeah. I was a college kid. I was like broke. So it was just like, okay, how do I get more of this? And ended up slowly accumulating enough where I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. Maybe I can start paying my buddies in it. And I had roommates because that was a thing too. You have roommates when you're young. And so anytime we'd like settle beer tabs and pay rent and stuff like that, it was just an easy thing for me to, hey, let me get you some of this Bitcoin. And they would make fun of me and say, you're such a nerd, Corbin. Why are you giving us this bullshit money? I just want real Canadian loonies like a man. And I said, no, those are trash. You want this. This is better than loonies. And that ended up kind of just being this regular thing where I'd be settling bullshit debts as, a college kid with Bitcoin. So that was
Do you know if any of those people kept the Bitcoin?
Majority of them lost it. Yeah. I think one of them held on to it and found it later and was like, but it wasn't like, it wasn't life changing. It was like a few bucks. So it was like,
Still,
it was enough to be like, that went up. That's cool. Yeah. But I think the large majority either actually repaid it to me as well. I remember like they would be like, I don't want this Bitcoin. Can I just give you, at some point I would buy it off of them. So that was kind of where I'd say the origin came from. And then, I was following a lot of our Bitcoin at the time and I was, trying my best to understand and like figure out that whole nerd community of like, back then it was very, like there was a lot of memes going on of like, Western Union is like this much dollars to like, remit money and Bitcoin's like less than a penny. And I was like, what a great 10x value proposition on Bitcoin. This is great. So I was kind of like really hooked on this idea of like money without borders, without fees that anyone can use, that you don't really need to sign up for an account. You don't have to give away your details. And then that's kind of where I'd say, that's probably like been this like fundamental part of my personality now since like 2013 has just been like buying into that vision. It was like that, it's like that Aaron Schwartz era of just like, all of the, what was the Reddit co-founder that, he killed himself after being harassed by the US government and that's right. It was all kind of like, it's just in that like kind of like tech crypto, kind of like, it was like the hacker news kind of.
Not quite cypherpunk, but
Yeah.
Were you on Slashdot?
Yeah, I was a Slashdot and I was just following all of that nonsense.
Yeah.
And it was fun. But it was like
Dig as well.
Dig and then Gizmodo and all of the bullshit around I think they got sued by Hulk Hogan and they're no longer a thing now. So
That's right.
go Hulk.
So
Peace, Hulk. Yeah.
you had quite an early introduction to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
How did you find your way to Bitcoin.com?
Yeah. I think around 2013, I was running my own web agency. This was like early days. I started this with like one of my college graduate pals, Andy. He's now running a big trucking company out of the east coast of Canada. And him and I were just kind of like getting our beak wet in terms of like building out these websites for small to medium sized businesses. And we were employed a little bit for a while by some agencies. And then we saw how much these agencies were just cleaning up. They were just cleaning up. They had the leather couches and the glass tables, and they would charge these idiot small businesses like $50K for a website. And then they would pass it to us and we'd build it for like $800. And we were like, we're getting the short end of the stick here, man. Like the math here doesn't math. Let's cut these guys out. And then we ended up getting our own client base and growing from there. And so then during that period, I was just growing this agency with him. We grew it to like eight or nine people. We had some decent clients and ended up moving out to Japan. And this was like 2016.
Why Japan?
I don't know. I'm not really a weeb. It was just kind of like a place to go. It was a place to go.
Different.
Something that's not Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
If you've been to Saskatchewan, you'll know that many people want to get out of Saskatchewan.
Yeah, I'm also from Saskatchewan, and a similar reason for coming to Japan. It's completely different.
Yeah, I just needed the alternative to Canada and the alternative in Saskatchewan.
Was never really into anime, anything like that.
Yeah, I watched some Pokemon when I was a kid. I had some cards, but I wasn't like, going there to like get a cool stand-up gel haircut and like, put a...
Not going to Akihabara.
Yeah, I didn't wear the headband that the nerds wore and did like peace signs and like gang signs or whatever. I didn't do that. But I ended up in Japan, and then I was going to Bitcoin meetups because it was cool to be in a big city, like going from like Regina, Saskatchewan, kind of a small...
What'd you call that place?
Regina. It's a bit sloppy out there. It's a sloppy Regina. But so got out of sloppy Regina, and it was nice to be in a big city, just to be like, okay, you're in Tokyo, surrounded by like nerds, and you have population density where you can have meetups and meetups around topics that are kind of obscure, including Bitcoin. So I was doing these Bitcoin meetups and getting into arguments with people about like what coins were trash and which ones weren't.
And these are largely expats, or were they Japanese?
Japanese people and expats. It was like a mix. So you'd get to, I'd get to bastardize some Japanese and drink beers, and it was fun. But it was primarily at Kitsune. Do you remember the Kitsune meetups in Shibuya?
I've heard of them.
And the Kitsune meetups were dope. It was like this basement in Shibuya, and you had to kind of like, I don't know, it was like this really dungeony vibes of just talking about Bitcoin with like nerds and like a very like cyberpunk red light and very dark dim lit, and everyone's smoking cigarettes because you could smoke in Japanese bars. I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
I was just like ripping darts and drinking beers, talking about Bitcoin with nerds. And I was like, I could never do this in Saskatchewan. This is great. So then, I'm running this agency, and I'm like building websites for people from Tokyo. And then I was building out some Bitcoin projects and just building some like little dApps. Sorry, it was like early dApps. And one of them I presented at the meetup just to show some nerds, like, this is this thing I built. It's like this transaction visualizer. This was during the scaling wars, and people were starting to talk about block size throughputs and just helped visualize the Bitcoin blockchain throughput versus Bitcoin Cash blockchain throughput. And at the time, this was like a heated debate going on in Kitsune. Like people were getting into like almost fistfights over like the best way to scale Bitcoin. And these like nerds drunkenly getting angry and like pushing each other like, what do you mean you want to scale the layer one? What about Lightning? And then it like dead serious, almost got into fistfights with people.
Fascism.
Yeah, it was mental, but it was so fun. And so, I had this visualizer that kind of explained it for dum-dums that, you could scale L1, and there's nothing wrong with just cranking up from 1 megabyte to a few megabytes or more. And then one of the guys that I showed it to was friends with Roger. And then I guess they passed it on to him. And then within a few nights after that last meetup that I presented at, I got an email from Roger, who I'd seen in documentaries, and I knew he was like around Tokyo. He had sometimes popped into like the meetups, and he would talk about Bitcoin and things like that. Kind of cross the eyes and do his Bitcoin Jesus thing, giving away Bitcoin to everyone. It was the coolest thing ever. He's just like, yeah, you download this app, and he'd be like, zap over like $50 sometimes to people, and it was like, whoa, this guy just bought beer for everyone with Bitcoin. And then like at the time you would spend Bitcoin. That was a thing too. You'd buy your Bitcoin at the Bitcoin meetups, right? Or you'd buy Bitcoin or you'd spend
how
it.
times have changed.
Spend it on beer. It was
so
cool.
funny, man.
And
It's kind of sad.
so yeah, he was doing his Bitcoin Jesus thing. And then I don't know, I'd never met him at the meetups. I was probably too shy to even talk to the guy. And he got an email, sent me the email. I'm like eating dinner, and I'm like, what the hell? I just got an email from Roger, and he just was saying, I heard you built this thing. Do you want to come work for me? And you should talk to Emil. Maybe there's a job for you. So ended up joining Bitcoin.com as a web engineer. And then
So that would have been
November 2017.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I guess like 7.5 years later, here I am.
Right. And now you've been CEO of Bitcoin.com for about 2 years?
Yeah, I guess a year and a half, almost 2 years, something like that. Yeah.
All right. Now, Bitcoin.com has recently gone through a bit of a brand upgrade. Could you talk about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think a lot of folks remember Bitcoin.com as the Bitcoin Cash website, right? You went to Bitcoin.com and, you might see some stuff about Bitcoin, but more often than not, you'd see like, hey, you could use the low fee version of Bitcoin as well. Colors were very green. It was very much just like, I was a part of all of that, right? It was like the scaling wars took Bitcoin.com down a path of like tribalism. And for years, it was like us carrying that torch. And then when I became CEO, it was very much clear that, the time has come for Bitcoin.com to return to orange. Roger had recently came out with a book called Hijacking Bitcoin. And I took that as a playbook of just, why don't we just take the logo back and we could just be Bitcoin again. And we could just lead with what people want. And let's try to give people, majority of people coming to the website, we're buying Bitcoin. Let's lead with that. Let's try to grow out a Bitcoin ecosystem. We still support everything. We still support Bitcoin Cash. It's perfectly fine to use Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash and other assets, but like, let's lead with the top dog. Everyone wants the top dog. They're talking about the news. Every news show is talking about Bitcoin, not talking about Bitcoin Cash. So let's lead with the strong thing and see where it goes. And then, yeah, we teamed up with a great agency out of Canada called Other Life. They built this beautiful new brand for us. And, you can see this cool illustrated silhouette vibe of Bitcoin iconography. And, we've tied in all the different blockchains and all the supported coins into this brand as well. And yeah, we're just trying to I'd say bring back this like Bitcoin renaissance to Bitcoin.com and really just let people make their own decisions. If they want to use Bitcoin, great. We support that. If you want to use Bitcoin Cash, awesome. Do that too. You want some Ethereum? Awesome. We'll figure that out.
Has Bitcoin.com's mission ever changed over the years?
I would say it's kind of always been kind of grounded in that early mission of like economic freedom, of just giving people choices. I think for quite a few years, it was maybe banging the drum, kind of taking sides in political debates that I think in hindsight didn't need to. But, I think it was needed at the time. And I think what we're seeing now with I think the Bitcoin renaissance is sort of happening more than just in Bitcoin.com. It's happening in the whole space. You see Bitcoin Fi and the BTC Fi and Bitcoin L2s emerge. We see people actually trying to create utility on Bitcoin and using it as money again and being able to spend it again. So I think there's sort of been this weird curve where Bitcoin was money. It was peer-to-peer cash. Then it became digital gold and people were like, okay, price went up. That's great. And then people realized, oh, well, the blocks are empty and nobody's actually using Bitcoin and all of the cool stuff's happening on Ethereum and all these L2s and then these emergent chains like Solana. And it was sort of like, well, how do we bring back that energy back into Bitcoin? And I think that's where you see that more and more developers now saying like, we can do a lot of the things that are being done on Ethereum and Solana and NFTs and all the other stuff we can do that on Bitcoin or on these like Bitcoin adjacent chains, whether they're like roll-ups or whether they're, merge mine chains or whether they're L2s or whether they're Lightning. That's fine. So it's just like letting people find a way to still use it for its intended purpose, in my opinion, which is, peer-to-peer cash for the world. I don't think that peer-to-peer cash for the world needs to be any one chain or any one coin. It could be any or all of them. But I would love to see Bitcoin be used in people's day-to-day lives, in addition to them speculating on the price. I think there's still this trend right now for speculation, but more and more we're seeing, especially here at WebEx, we're seeing more projects emerge. We're seeing analysts talk about their different L2s and how they're solving different scaling problems and, the adoption problems and the adoption curve of getting people to use Bitcoin. So I think we're on the right path now with Bitcoin.com being aligned with the wider sentiment of the cryptocurrency market and the Bitcoin market. And yeah, we're just here to now stand to benefit from the growing interest in Bitcoin. Yeah.
Bitcoin Cash, rebrand. Was there any pushback when Bitcoin.com's wallet app adopted Ethereum?
There was like no pushback.
Really?
Zero pushback. I think at that point, because we had already supported Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash from like 2017, adding another chain was kind of like, oh, that sort of makes sense. And Ethereum being like number 2 in market cap kind of made sense. So yeah, there was very little pushback. Honestly, I would say if there was any pushback, it actually came from the Bitcoin Cash community.
Well, that makes sense though.
Yeah, because I think they probably saw it more as like, well, Bitcoin.com is taking a further step away from being our sugar daddy. And we were the sugar daddy of Bitcoin Cash. Like if there was a lot of great companies out there that were supporting Bitcoin Cash and still do, like BitPay and Coinbase and many other of the big players, supported it early on and continue to support it.
Yeah,
but,
they have a big booth here.
Yeah.
They support it.
Yeah, I think the politicization of Bitcoin versus Bitcoin Cash has really been softened over the years. There's still some OGs that have this like resentment towards BCH or BCH OGs that ultimately are actually Bitcoin OGs that have some resentment towards BTC. But overall, I feel like the natural progression towards the whole like market has just been multi-coin. Like the number of people I run into that are monotheistic about their crypto beliefs are fairly small. I think the majority understand that there are valid and good and interesting opportunities happening outside of their preferred currency. There's always going to be the Michael Saylors that are going to, proclaim there is no second best, but there is a second best, and it's called Ethereum, and it's second in market caps. I don't know. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's move on to since we're here in Japan. You've spent a lot of time in Japan. You've been to this conference before, right?
Yeah, this is my second WebEx.
Okay, so have you? What's the vibe you're getting from the WebEx themes?
Yeah,
the people here.
I mean, I guess I can speak to some of the, I'd say, early Japanese conferences, specifically crypto conferences, were very wrought with like, I would say like sketchier projects. Like it's not like they were doing anything wrong or illegal. It was more just like, I didn't expect to see them the next year. And it's like, if they're not going to be here next year, is it worth putting any money or promoting this thing? So it feels like WebEx has a much more mature participation. The projects here are well known. We've got right across from us, Ripple, Gate. We've got big names from Tron to Bitcoin.com. There's, there are a lot of startups. There's a lot of new projects still. And, I think it's great that they're still supporting, new projects. The caliber does seem to be higher. A lot of NFT kind of Web3 game projects out here. And I think that's to be expected with kind of the weeb gaming culture of Japan. And maybe that's a bit of a blanket statement, but yeah, there's a lot of cute anime characters and kawaii girls walking around. So that, I think it's great. WebEx is doing a fantastic job relative to a lot of the early crypto conferences I was involved in Japan.
I read somewhere that the Japanese, they bought the top of the 2017 market, right?
Yeah.
They they were slower to buy into crypto than like the West.
Yeah.
And so when the West had already started to sell off everything,
Right.
that's when the Japanese started buying.
Yeah.
And they got hosed.
Totally.
And that actually caused a lot of some of the regulation that came afterwards.
Yeah.
Where now it's really, really hard to get assets listed on their exchange.
Totally.
Yeah, totally. And so I think they a lot of that sketchy stuff got flushed out.
Yeah. It seems like a lot cleaner. Feels like, I don't know, there's just like a level of professionalism here that's great to see. Lots of cool projects. Yeah. People from all over the world, not just Japanese. You can be a dumb like me who speaks very little Japanese to almost none and get by out here. It's great.
Okay, how about Asia more broadly? I know you've spent time in Singapore. Bitcoin.com has an office in Singapore. You spent time in Vietnam, obviously Japan. Which I'd love to get your thoughts on, like the Asian market.
Yeah.
Do you see like one market pushing ahead in terms of either adoption or regulation or?
Yeah, I mean, I personally think South Korea is probably still the most banging market for crypto. I think they've taken a pretty soft approach to taxing, regulating.
Cameraman loves to hear that.
Cameraman loves it. Yeah, Big Danny, he's from Korea.
He's from Wisconsin, but he lives
you
in
should
Korea.
see him. He looks pretty Korean to me. But I'm smiling. Yeah. But yeah, I'd say like South Korea definitely still a pretty hot market for crypto. Lots of degeneracy out there in terms of just like everyone wants to get in on crypto out there. I'd say that's probably leading the pack still. Taiwan feels like it's kind of in the top. Maybe Taiwan, Hong Kong, kind of neck and neck in terms of like just that hunger. I think anyone who's Chinese ends up in Hong Kong, and then it just grows from there as well.
Yeah.
And I think just the caliber of, it's both like the volume of new projects that you see there, but also just the volume of interest. It seems like there's a lot of people putting money into new endeavors out there. Japan still feels like it's probably next in line. I think maybe because it's taken a little bit more of a regulatorily friendly stance. It's sort of some ways maybe hampered some of its degeneracy, but maybe that has made it more safer for average consumers that are participating in these events and not being sucked into like a complete turd. Yeah.
Kanye West music.
I mean, who would buy Yeezy? I definitely didn't buy Yeezy.
Only a
An idiot. Lost some money on Yeezy.
What about Southeast Asia? Like, are they doing anything?
Yeah, I mean, like, I didn't get to go to the Bali conference, but I know Vietnam's always going pretty hard. Vietnamese degenerate crypto investors out there. But yeah, I mean, I'd say like in terms of building, you'll see a lot of Web3 gaming out in Vietnam.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I think you see more like financial services, DeFi out in Japan and then elsewhere. But I think, like Japan seems like a blend of both fintech and then Web3 gaming and like NFTs and stuff like that. Taiwan, Hong Kong seems more focused on the financial services aspect. And then Vietnam feels like it's more focused on just the play to earn, the degeneracy of like acquiring as many users and like bringing in, I guess, the fun entertainment aspect of it.
How does Asia compare to the Middle East, like Dubai, for example?
Yeah, Middle East feels probably even more financial services forward than others. You don't see a lot of the gaming stuff out there so much.
Meme coins? No, not really.
Not really. I don't recall seeing too many.
No, I don't know.
Feels like a little bit more of a safer kind of. I think.
You think they would be upset? Like, does the government would get like pissed off?
I think it's more like the culture out there just doesn't. It's not attracted to that type of the industry as much.
Yeah.
Maybe that's my high level read on it, but
Yeah.
I think the culture in Vietnam is, I'd say, like players, lots of play to earn.
Okay,
Japan kind of similar, right? There's lots of players, and then there's like builders, and then I just get the feeling that MENA region's a little bit more towards like building and more on the financial services angle, but yeah, I'd say there's a little bit more of not monotheism there, but say a higher attraction to Bitcoin than
Yeah, I think so.
the alts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. And then relative to like Canada.
Oh yeah. Well, we talked about that yesterday. Cam and Frederick were going back and forth.
What was the consensus?
Frederick was he still lives there, right? He's
Yeah.
He's so
Stopping his bag.
he's exactly. So he was saying that he was optimistic and maybe Canada could be
Canada's cooked.
and Graham was funny. He was like, even if Canada did everything and was awesome, who cares? 51st state.
Yeah. I mean,
And he was like,
that is the truthfully, that
did
is
anyone care about Romania?
that is the only way Canada will step ahead or even like get a foot ahead is to just join Big Daddy Trump with his Bitcoin crypto world liberty crusade. Because frankly, I think Canada's going to follow. And I get the feeling that the political administration in Canada is more likely to follow the opposite of Trump. It's like anything but Trumpism out there.
Totally.
And if Trump and the administration in the US says crypto is good and stablecoins are good and Bitcoin is good, then Canada is going to say, well, how could we possibly support that if Trump supports that? He's such a bad man. He's mean to our little soy boy.
Well, that's
prime minister.
a politically popular thing to say in Canada because it's a theory of mine, which is that Canadians basically their identity is built around not being American.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's politically expedient to perpetuate that. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, or more. But the reality is they actually just end up doing like playing ball in the end because
They can eventually, right?
they have.
I think the risk right now, though, that I see with the Canadian market is just that it inherits all of the retardation from the United Kingdom. And I think countries, Canada just has this natural desire to bend the knee and kiss the ring of the crown and the UK. And there's something like UK kind of has that similar kind of like, well, we're not American and how, So I just expect Canada to follow more of the UK nonsense with MICA. And I mean, like for people who don't know, if you operate a Bitcoin or crypto business and want to serve the users or geography of the United Kingdom, you have to create the most vanilla cucked experience.
You can't even really tell them what you're doing, though. It's weird, right? Like,
I mean, yeah, I've been closely involved with this at work with the marketing at Bitcoin.com. And like, for example, our app store listings for the Bitcoin.com wallet app, you're not allowed to have numbers.
Can't have numbers. Numbers are too halal, not halal,
financial.
Haram. They're haram. They are haram to the UK government. You cannot put numbers in marketing advertising because numbers could indicate speculation, and speculation is haram.
So we show screenshots of the Bitcoin.com wallet app. Normally, like on all the other storefronts for the app stores, we have Bitcoin as an asset that the wallet supports. Obviously, you show the price of Bitcoin.
You can't show charts as well, correct?
Can't show that.
can you show
Charts are bad.
Can you show the word buy?
No.
Right?
Yeah.
You can't say
No buy. You can't say buy.
no verbs
no.
are allowed. No verbs.
Seriously,
Really.
seriously.
No action verbs are allowed.
Like buy, sell, swap.
Yeah, because if you say buy, you're indicating you want people to buy, and you're telling them to make a financial decision, which you're not qualified to do unless you have the appropriate banking licenses. It's just this whole.
You know what it sounds like? It sounds like they're trying to do what they did with cigarettes, right? Like you buy cigarettes there, and it's just
They're like blacked out.
it's just a white package.
Yeah.
There's no branding is allowed on any cigarette. So all
white package, and it says you're going to get cancer and die if you smoke.
Yeah.
this.
So then all the app store listings are just going to be like blank.
Yeah.
I suspect
you will lose money. This is a scam.
Well, I think there's even if you're a CEX, you have to have a cool off period. So I think if you're a CEX trying to serve the UK, you can't let people trade for over 20. When they download and install the app, you're not allowed to let them trade for 24 hours or something like that. Yeah. So you're giving them time to second guess themselves, and you have to give them time to maybe not FOMO in.
Yeah.
So
they'll miss the move.
Yeah. So like when you lose money on a potential like leg up, you can blame your prime minister of the UK and say, "Thank you for protecting me, Daddy. Thanks for my lack of gains."
How mad would you be if your phone broke and you had to buy a new phone?
Yeah.
And the price is going down.
Yep.
And you install it.
Yep.
install the app you already have, but there's a cool off period on it already.
Yeah.
And then you can't
sell.
Oh,
Yeah. The government. Yeah. So I don't know, man. UK is cooked. Canada, likely cooked. There's some markets where, I mean, who knows? Maybe a Caesar emerges and someone saves the day. But I'd say short term, the next few years, certain regions suck. Certain regions are great. And the great ones primarily exist in Asia, the Gulf states, USA, probably Latin America, places that really are kind of like not afraid to use their elbows and ask permission. So,
All right.
Yeah.
Let's shift gears back to Bitcoin.com. So, what does success look like for Bitcoin.com over the next 2-3 years?
I mean, I'd say one, make a boatload of money. That'd be great. But in addition to that, it's primarily like just getting as many people into Bitcoin as possible and into crypto. The sad thing is I know there's people walking around this lovely conference without a single dollar of crypto on their person. But I would love to get to a point where Bitcoin.com is able to help get as many people walking around with some form of cryptocurrency and being able to spend it at different places, whether that's retailers, whether that's online, whether that's, finding the best path for them to spend for dog food and diapers and coffees.
Is this part of the rationale with the reward system in the Bitcoin.com wallet?
Yeah. I mean, there's one of the interesting things with credit cards. They've got these incentives to keep people coming back for more. And I think the rewards angle in wallets is going to be this great experience for people to just take that leap. That might, they might need that extra kick in the ass to say, just try it. And if you can get them a few dollars of crypto and reduce that friction or incentivize them to do the frictiony parts, there's certain parts of the app that have friction. And frankly, there's just no way around it. If you want to buy Bitcoin in our wallet app or in any wallet, this exists industry wide. You have to do the passport photo. You have to give your identity to the provider, and the provider then allows you to connect your bank account or that you process those on-ramp payments. So if we can incentivize people to just say, okay, we know this step sucks, but we can give you $1 or $2 to just get through that hump. And then you're kind of smooth sailing. And then, okay, next step is make sure you backed up your keys. We can get you a little reward there. And I think this type of leading with a carrot is something we can use to help onboard more and more of the retail population to just try things out that they might be a little bit more skittish to. And there's this a carrot motivator instead of a stick. And I think it's going to be immensely helpful in getting as many people walking around with crypto or Bitcoin in their pockets. MasterCards, Visas, they've all done that for years with, the sign up bonuses, the, spend this, get $1 back. So I think we're going to see more and more of these rewards programs emerge. I think the tricky part is always going to be the fact that crypto apps are tied to the walled gardens of the app stores.
Oh, yeah.
And you do have to then kiss the ring in terms of what they allow and what they don't allow. So I think this is going to be a continuous kind of cat and mouse game as well, depending on regions. But overall, I think rewards are going to be this thing that we can, use to just soften those friction points and reward users that are loyal, that are coming back. We want to build a community at Bitcoin.com. And, if that means you're the most hardcore user and you're making some extra money on this, great. We'd love that. If you're onboarding people and we can pay you some money for helping onboard, great. We'll do that. Yeah, we're just going to see more and more emerge from the reward side of things and just kind of allowing communities to grow, allowing users to grow, allowing people to get further along in their crypto journey from knowing absolutely nothing, but hearing about, Jim Cramer talking about Bitcoin and you're like, okay, maybe it's time to buy Bitcoin. But you're met with all this friction. Well, we can soften that by, put chum in the water.
What are you most excited about that Bitcoin.com's working on right now or will be?
Yeah. There's a couple things I want to say. I don't know if I'm allowed to say yet. I shouldn't be leaking too much yet. But I love the idea of giving people the ability to trade in a more efficient way. Like right now in Bitcoin.com, you can only swap. So you come in if you're like, okay, I got Bitcoin, I'm ready to sell. You got to be online. You got to log in. You got to do the swap at time. It's like a swap at time of swap. But I'd love to get limit orders in. I'd love to get, spot. I'd love to see derivatives in. So we're exploring some opportunities there. And I think just giving people like more efficient means to trade is going to be a big one. Bringing down fees is another critical one. So like making sure that when you're swapping in app, we're finding you the absolute best rate across the whole network of providers. When you're trading, trying to bring those fees down. Like we want people to be able to make money participating in this ecosystem. If everyone in this ecosystem is getting washed out because, they're buying the top and then getting hit with fee after fee after fee, that's not a great experience. So I'm really excited about just trying to get everything down to a point where people are like, yeah, this is a great experience, low fee. I can use this. My mom can use this. It's easy. Mom can get onboarded. She might get a little top up with some tokens to pass through some of the friction points. And then we can turn mom into a degenerate gambler, setting up limit orders and stop losses and perpetuals. And
or at least officially getting her hands on stable coins, if that's even the thing that actually
if that's what resonates, let's do it. Let's get stable coins and yield. I mean, even just earning 3 to 4% on like stablecoin yield, that's more than you can get from a TD bank account, savings account. So giving people the ability to tap into yield, that's going to be a big easy win as well. Bitcoin.com, we've got Ethereum and USDC staking. I'd love to get some Bitcoin yield into the app, get those users with Bitcoin the ability to tap into all of the different yield opportunities. And I think that's going to be where it's a big part of the meta that we're seeing at this conference as well. There was a Bitcoin conference panelist just yesterday with some of the guys from RGB, from Rootstock. They're talking about the different ways that they're going to be tapping into the Bitcoin yield narratives and things like that. So,
okay. So, let's talk for a minute about privacy, because I know Bitcoin.com has recently integrated Zano, so next generation privacy chain. We've got Freedom US Dollar.
FUSD.
That's
such
right.
a great ticker.
So what's the rationale there?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we do these regular like user surveys, and one of the things that comes back quite often is in the top of like requests from like more assets to support Dogecoin to support Ripple. Usually in the top is, I want privacy. People want privacy. They want more options to sever the ties of the public blockchain, which, is great from an auditability standpoint, but from a personal security standpoint, or just from, user choices.
Yeah, usability standpoint. Yeah.
It's nice to give people that. So Zano is the first private blockchain that we've integrated. Private blockchains are kind of fun in the sense that like they're different. It's handled completely different than a lot of the other wallets in the app. So you do actually have to set up the wallet and then let it sync. And this is like, in the Bitcoin world, this is how it used to be done in the OG days with SPV wallets. But, we've found different ways to reduce that syncing period or resync wallets for users on the back end. But we can't do that.
So it's not quite as snappy.
It's a little less snappy. Privacy kind of takes a little bit of delays because you have to
full privacy. Yeah, with Nero, you have to do that as well.
Yeah, right? You have to let enough confirmations and enough of these. The privatization of your transactions needs to go through their protocol to securely, safely guarantee that your funds are now private. So yeah, there are some like little friction points there, and again, that's where we see these rewards coming in to being able to say, if you want to try privacy, you can do it. We can reward you for giving it a shot. But giving people that opportunity to swap from Bitcoin into privacy first stablecoin like FUSD, or into Zano, like a privacy coin, or even just going from Bitcoin into a private version of Bitcoin. There's this new team called Confidential Layer. They're building on Zano, and they're building this bridge that uses the bridgeless chain to then allow users to bridge funds into any chain, including these privacy chains. So then you can take your Bitcoin, move it over into private Bitcoin on Zano, and sever all traces of your Bitcoin history. Then you could even move it back later on, either in full amount or in various amounts, further secure your identity and bring it back into L1 Bitcoin. And you can start with a nice clean wallet. You don't have to worry about, potentially having, people say, hey, that's a naughty UTXO. We aren't going to accept that. And it does happen. Like if you get sent some Bitcoin that was obtained through weird means or has a weird history on it, there is a chance that a CEX can just say, hey, some of the coins you sent us, we don't like the origin of those is weird. So we're just going to lock those funds while we do an investigation, and then you can't trade for a while. So being able to just,
I mean, the other risk, of
Separate.
course, is the wrench attack, the $5 wrench attack.
yeah,
When it's known how much money you have, you become a target.
yeah. I mean, like going back to the spending thing,
The risk.
it sucks if you go to a kitsune bar or something like that. You go buy a beer and then you accidentally reveal your net worth in Bitcoin. It's kind of scary. So yeah, I mean, having that ability to have a wallet that's kind of optimized for spending that's been severed from your whole net worth. You don't have to worry about the guy serving you beer, waiting till you're drunk enough to hit you over the head with a wrench and say, give me your money. So, yeah, I think just giving people that ownership of their data, ownership of their blockchain past, ownership of their net worth, that's kind of critical in this whole world of Bitcoin and crypto. It is difficult still, but I think it's getting a lot easier. And I think just being able to swap from one to another and then hang out in a private chain for a while before you move back, it's great.
Yeah, nice. All right, David, do you have any other questions?
I had one, but then I just started thinking about the privacy thing.
Yeah. Corbin, any last thoughts?
No.
Where can people find you?
You can find me on the X, Maple Syrup Sucker, but no ER, just R. I ran out of characters, I guess. I don't know, man. It's an old handle, They follow you, unfortunately. Yeah, you follow me there. I sometimes am on the Token Narratives every Friday with you guys.
Yes.
I'll pop on every now and again and hang with you goofs, and debate and jam with you guys on the latest. It's always fun. Yes. Make sure you tune in for those. I mean, come follow us at BTCTN, at the Bitcoin.com news crew. We got at Bitcoin.com for the brand Twitter or X. And come check out Bitcoin.com news. Awesome place to get all your information. Try out the Bitcoin.com wallet app. You can get free crypto by just downloading the wallet app, doing some tasks, getting onboarded. And it's fun community to join.
Great. All right, Corbin, thanks for your time.